Hey guys, I've spent hundreds of hours watching Bjergsen VODs over the last couple of years in order to improve my own game and to get high elo, and in this video we're going to look at 10 things that Bjergsen does to hard carry in ranked. Let's get into it. Number 1 is getting early vision based on the jungler's pathing. If he plays a ranged champion, he looks to get pressure by shoving the lane with his autos and using his abilities on both the wave and his lane opponent. This allows him to shove the wave and get poke off at the same time. Once he does this, he tries to get an early ward down around level 2 or 3. If he knows that the bot lane leashed and the jungler started bot side, he prefers to place a ward here on the top side of the lane. This can be a better spot than at chickens because the jungler will likely path through that area to take the scuttle crab or gank mid. This goes for either side of the lane and either side that the jungle starts. If you're unsure where the opposing jungler started, it was probably on the bot side, so this area where you can see Bjergsen ward is probably your best bet. Another thing to note about early wards is that a lot of low elo players will ward in the side river brush. This is probably one of the worst places to ward for information. The jungler can enter the river without ever passing this ward, and even if it does spot them coming to gank you, the information that you gather will be too little too late and you'll probably end up dying anyways. Even if you don't have time to ward the pixel brush, at least ward this area so that you can see the entirety of this jungle entrance. Bjergsen's preference is to ward in these couple of locations, so do whatever you think is best for your game. The second thing that Bjergsen does is that he looks to harass with autos and abilities as his wave is crashing into the tower. He tries to get all of the CS that he can, but his main objective is to get an HP advantage and punish his opponent every time they go in for CS. The reason why this is so important is because his lane opponent can't trade back. If they do retaliate with an auto or a combo, they will start taking damage from the large wave of minions and he will totally win that trade. Also, they are put into a double bind where if they want to CS, they have to trade some HP for it, but if they want to stay healthy, then they have to give up that gold and risk falling behind. This is something that Bjergsen and all high elo laners have mastered. A lot of frequent and small poke will allow you to build an HP advantage and give you control in the lane, which is the most important thing early in the game. The second tip builds into this third tip that Bjergsen uses to crush games, and that is his managing lane freezes. Here in this clip, you can see the wave bounce back towards Bjergsen, and immediately he starts thinning the incoming wave while trying to keep 2 or 3 minions less than the opposing wave. This allows him to control the speed at which the wave is crashing into him and helps him thin out the wave to keep the freeze outside of his tower. A lot of low elo players would see these 2 caster minions getting low on HP and they would immediately cast a Q to get that gold. This would do too much damage to the wave and cause a slow push towards your opponent's tower. This can be useful in some situations, but here Bjergsen knows that Kassadin has no mobility and that if he extends too far in the lane, his jungler will come for a gank or Bjergsen will have the chance to chase him down for a solo kill. Kassadin wants the wave to stay on his side of the lane so that he can play safe until level 6, but Bjerg knows that he has a small window of opportunity to pull Kassadin out of that safe zone and get an advantage. The strategy ultimately turns into a kill and lets Bjergsen snowball his lane and roam around the map to help his team. The Kassadin would end up needing to sit in a side lane with barely 1 item completed to try to get back into the game, but against Bjergsen, that's probably not going to happen. And also, if you say that Bjergsen has better teammates than you, remember that this guy was in his Korean Masters lobby. Yeah, I have no idea what's going on. Hey guys, the sponsor of this video is me. If you want to get a head start on improving your game for Season 12, then make sure you check out the Ticket to Diamond Blueprint. It has everything you need to climb fast, carry trolls, and get to the rank you deserve. You'll also get access to the private Discord to be a part of a community on the same mission as you with a willingness to help others as they learn and climb. The link to sign up is in the description below. The fourth way that Bjergsen hard carries in Challenger is that he looks at the map and positions to help his team. I'm sure you hear people say, look at your map, or look at your map every 3, 5, 10 seconds. And while yes, that is very important and you should beat that into your muscle memory to constantly be looking at your map, understand what is going on the map around you. If you don't do anything with the information that you gather by looking at your map, then it doesn't help you win. Here in this clip, Bjergsen is eyeing the map, knowing that the junglers are fighting over the dragon, and he knows that if he moves first, his team can win that fight very easily. Unfortunately, his abilities missed and they didn't get the kill, but 8 out of 10 times that disciplined positioning will pay off for his team and give them a substantial lead in the game. Bjergsen understands that League is a game of inches, and so any minor positioning advantage or wave manipulation can push you into the lead. I also want to bring your attention to the wave state before this roam. Bjerg knew that he probably needed to move in the next 5 to 10 seconds because Xin Zhao was on dragon, so he moved to the bottom side of the lane, but also noticed that the wave was even towards Kassadin's side, so it would turn into a slow push towards Bjergsen. Bjerg doesn't try and shove the wave before he moves here because he assumes that the fight will be quick, and regardless of what Kassadin does, the wave will be just outside of Bjergsen's tower in about 30 seconds. If Kassadin moves at the same time as Zoe here, he will lose about a wave and a half of minions while his own minions are staying alive and healthy for when Zoe gets back to lane. Bjergsen is a master of positioning and managing his wave based on what his teammates are up to get the biggest advantage. Number 5 is not overextending in the mid game. Regardless of how well you do in the early game, it is vitally important to play safe in the mid game and farm so that you can scale well into into the late game teamfights. Many mid lane champs can enter a side lane and farm away, but Bjerg understands that Zoe isn't the best at this and she's better at sitting mid. This helps her clear wave after wave while looking for picks. In this game, Bjergsen went to the top lane once to pick up a wave, as well as bot twice to help with the fight and get a crashing minion wave, so don't just AFK mid. But what Bjergsen does here is he continues to apply pressure onto the map by continuously shoving mid. Many players, including myself, would have just been overconfident and gone in for a kill with an item advantage. That likely wouldn't have turned out very well, and most of us probably would have died and thrown some sort of lead. But Bjergsen is disciplined and knows that he needs to keep control of mid by shoving the lane and not going too crazy. The other team has great pick potential with Trundle and Ashe, so he's playing with his team to shove the wave, and after it's pushed, they look to get vision on their flanks and then go for poke and picks if the other team overextends. It is crucial to understand the order here. The first step is to shove the wave. This gives you some map control to move around safely. Of course, nothing is guaranteed, but it's definitely better than roaming with the wave under your own tower. You'd have less map control and you'd be missing XP and gold if you were to do that. The second step is to get vision. Once you clear the wave, you should first ward your flanks. If you have taken the first tower like Bjergsen has here, then ward chickens and behind wolves so that you know if the other team is going for a last stand team fight. Especially do this if you're against any hard engage like fiddlesticks. The next place you should ward as you increase your range of vision is to ward behind the red buff and past the blue buff. This gives you control of the enemy jungle and free reign to rotate and fight when you have the numbers advantage. Okay, for number 6, let's hop over to another game from Bjergsen where he's playing Vex. In my course, I talk about the importance of getting to lane as soon as possible, or at least working with your team as soon as the game starts. Some of your teammates might be AFK in base or at their turret, which does absolutely nothing for your team, but that's no excuse for you not to be consistent and play all of your games the moment the game starts. Bjergsen quickly passed the middle of the lane so that he can watch for potential invades from these two locations. This is one of the best spots to invade from, and it's incredibly easy to stop by just running in between your torches to watch for it. It doesn't matter if you're the top laner, the mid laner, or the support. If your team won't do it, then you should. The 7th tip is to get early wave control. In this specific matchup, Bjergsen wanted to get a poke advantage by getting an early positional advantage in the lane, so he autoed a couple of minions and then moved right up to his melee minions. So if he had to, he could quickly step behind his minions to dodge it. And if Sylas started Q, he would risk pushing the wave, which would allow Bjergsen to freeze the wave right outside of his tower and deny Sylas CS. In this situation, starting Q was good because it allowed Sylas to match Vex's push, but because of Bjerg's early positioning, he easily won the first wave and got an HP advantage. This might sound insanely small and tedious, but it is moves like this that allow Bjergsen to win a high percentage of his games in Korean Challenger. Number 8 is strategic slow pushing. After Bjergsen got the HP advantage with his first wave, he decided to slow push the second one. This allows Bjergsen to do a couple of things to help him keep the lead. His minions are stacking on him, so he will get level 2 first, giving him legit kill pressure if Sylas overextends, and he can easily farm his own wave because each minion should get low one at a time. Then once he clears the waves and it starts to crash into Sylas's tower, Sylas knows that he's going to get harassed and lose a lot of HP for a couple of minions, so he tries to hard engage when he hits level 2 so he can force Bjergsen to back off. Unfortunately, Sylas majorly lost that trade and also loses every single minion in that second wave. At this point, Bjergsen has a massive lane advantage with the wave and also with HP. The 9th thing that Bjergsen does that elevates him above other professional mid laners is that if he has an advantage, nobody gets to back for free. Bjergsen lets his wave slow push into his tower, knowing that if he challenges Sylas here, he will lose the trade and potentially forfeit a large wave. He plays it patient and lets the wave push into him so he can get CS for free under his tower. After Sylas shoves the wave, he tries to recall because he is low on HP and he might be able to walk back to lane for free because it's bouncing back to him. But Bjergsen has 6 minions crashing into his tower with a biscuit and a few charges from his corrupting pot left. He knows that he could easily tank the wave for 10 seconds in order to cancel Sylas's recall. This forces Sylas to miss some XP and gold if he doesn't use his teleport. Almost every single low elo mid laner would have let this wave crash into the tower, which would have let Sylas save his TP so that he could easily get back to mid another time. Bjergsen is the king of getting small advantages like this, which puts his opponents in very tough situation. I'll also quickly add here that forcing Sylas to TP back basically won Vex the lane because she can trade as much as she wants when Sylas returns, and then she can recall and TP back to lane with an item advantage while also having an HP lead. This move lets Bjergsen get another trade off and another freeze off, which puts him even farther ahead. The 10th and last way that Bjergsen continues to dominate Challenger in NA and also Korea is because he's a grinder. There are no shortcuts in life, and getting good at a skill game like League is no exception. Bjergsen has put years and years of his life into this game, learning how it should be played and constantly adapting to its many changes. But before you think that there's no hope for you to get that good, know that when Bjergsen started playing this game, there were no tools on how to get better. No YouTube videos explaining matchups or videos and guides on how to lane or team fight, or even courses revealing in-depth knowledge. As we enter season 12, we have the most educational content that we have ever had, so take advantage of it. Watch videos like this one that will give you little nuggets of wisdom that will help you build a pile of knowledge that you can draw from as you get better at the game. So get a lot of games in and take a good amount of time to just learn. This is a very heady game, and sometimes you need to take a step back and analyze what the heck is going on. One of the best ways to do this is to join my course, A Ticket to Diamond Blueprint, which gives you access to the private Discord as well. This allows you to improve your game and get to that rank that you deserve. Also, check out the video on the top left about the top 10 pro Riven tips to stomp solo queue. That one was a good one. Thanks for watching.